Hi, John. It's such a pleasure to be chatting with you here today at Universal Studios Hollywood, talking about horror nights here for Entertainment Affair. Tell me a little bit about La Llorona. You did tell us a little bit about it. You said it started a few years back, but my most important question is, what motivated you to include something so prevalent in the Latino culture?
Los Angeles in general. I'm a Los Angeles kid. I grew up, born and raised here. Latino culture is so firmly embedded in this town. The very name of the city, street names, and of course I grew up with that as a kid. But what I didn't grow up with is La Llorona. I had never heard the story until 2010, when one of my coworkers told me about the story, and I immediately was attracted to it because the very essence of the story is about as dark as anything we've ever done in the history of Halloween Horror Nights. So in 2010 we did just a scare zone, and then in 2011 we did our first house, and then in 2012 we did another one. But she hasn't been to our event in a decade, 10 years. So we really wanted to bring her back and create almost like a mini land within Universal Studios Hollywood during Horror Nights that is really dedicated and focused on Latino culture. So we have Day of the Dead Plaza, or Dia de los Muertos Plaza. Right next to it we have La Llorona, our new haunted house. And when you come out, we have a scare zone called Pueblo del Terror, which takes a whole bunch of different characters from myths and legends from Latin America and brings them to life. El Cucuy, and Chupacabra, and El Charro Negro, etc., etc., etc. And we thought, and they all kind of circulate together. So we thought it was a really interesting idea to really dedicate a big section of our theme park to Latino culture.
And I think one of the things that we've been noticing year after year is how much more it's growing, because like you mentioned, it started in a zone, then it turned into like a maze, then now it's like a land. And I think one of the things that you also mentioned was the feedback that you were getting from the people that were coming to the park, where they were loving La Llorona and everything that had to do with that. And I think it's mostly twofold. It's also because we're in LA, which you mentioned is so big on Latino culture, Mexican specifically, but also because as Latinos, we consume so much of horror films, and I think a lot of people don't know.
There's something dark going on there.
So was it surprising to you? Was it surprising to you when you got that feedback from everyone coming through?
It's pretty cool. I like literally walking through the park and getting stopped by guests who are saying, thank you for representing my culture that I care so much about, Just because I didn't grow up with it doesn't mean that we shouldn't embrace it as part of Horror Nights. Again, that's what LA is. LA is this wonderful mix of all these different cultures that come together and form our city. And it's an honor to get to work with these legendary stories. La Llorona is over 500 years old, and it's great to get to take that and bring it into our event and make it a part of our event. And so far, all the people I've talked to, they're just so happy to see that reflected in our event, which is great.
And I think one of the questions that I have in regards to this is, how difficult is it to take it to the next level the following year?
Yeah, that's always the thing. No matter what we do, we got to top it the next year.
Exactly.
So, this year, the way that manifests itself is we're taking our scenic design and we're trying to take that to the next level. I mean, if you walk through La Llorona, you see that. That's a gorgeous, house. We're really, really focusing on special effects. We're doing a lot more with special effects this year than we've ever done before. So every year we challenge ourselves, because we don't even really need to do that kind of self-motivation. Our fans kind of do that for us. They're always, pushing us to do more and more and more. So we want to meet that challenge.
And I think to end the interview, I think one of the things I want to say is thank you so much for honoring the Latino community and the Latino heritage here, specifically in LA, Hollywood, to bring something like that of our culture and making it so much of a forefront. And the beautiful words that you just said right now, I think that's what the Latinos, thank you so much for that.
Well, it's such a rich history of tradition and these stories that have been passed down, generation to generation to generation. There's so much to mine creatively from that it's fabulous. I love delving into all of these characters that we're going to feature in our scare zone, and some that even go back to Aztec times. They go all the way back to the Aztec era. But their stories are amazing and different and strange and dark and scary, and it's great material for Halloween Horror Nights.
Thank you, and that's why we're going to continue coming. Thank you so much, and don't miss Halloween Horror Nights 2022 at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Thank you.